The Raiders restructure Christian Wilkins' contract. The Las Vegas Raiders have made an important financial move, restructuring the contract of star defensive tackle Christian Wilkins. This decision not only helps the team manage its cap space more effectively, but also shows the value they place on Wilkins as one of their core players. Let's break it down. Wilkins, one of the top performers on the Raiders roster, has been earning an average of $27.5 million per year. For the 2024 season, he was set to count about $27 million against the cap. However, the Raiders have decided to prorate his roster bonus, creating a void year in 2028. This restructuring means $9.9 million will count as a dead cap hit for that year, a season when Wilkins likely won't even be with the team. Looking at Wilkins' contract, it originally covered the 2024 to 2027 seasons. By adding the void year, the Raiders gain some immediate cap relief for the upcoming season. At 30 years old, Wilkins is expected to play through the next 3 seasons before becoming a free agent at 33. Structuring the contract this way allows the team to maintain flexibility while keeping a key player locked in during his prime years. This move by General Manager John Spytek is a calculated one. It's never ideal to carry dead cap space for players who don't finish their contracts, but in Wilkins' case, this strategy makes sense. Unlike past situations with players like Jimmy Garoppolo or others who didn't fulfill their deals, Wilkins is a proven asset and a cornerstone of the defense. With the restructuring, the Raiders free up approximately $9 million, bringing their total cap space to $59 million. This opens the door for various possibilities, whether it's extending a current player, exploring trades, or signing key free agents. The team may prioritize positions like guard or wide receiver to strengthen their roster. Even after accounting for upcoming expenses, such as $15 million for the draft pool and about $10 million to fill out the roster, the Raiders could still have over $30 million to spend. This financial flexibility puts the team in a fantastic position to bring in 2 or 3 impact players who can elevate their performance on the field. The Raiders' management has laid the groundwork for a strong offseason, and their approach to balancing the present with the future could pay big dividends. With Wilkins leading the charge on defense, the team is setting itself up for success both now and in the seasons to come. The Raiders miss out on key target but maintain flexibility. The Raiders had their sights set on adding a major piece to their offensive line, but unfortunately, former Bears guard Tevin Jenkins has signed with the Cleveland Browns. This is a tough break for the Raiders, as Jenkins is a player who could have been a game changer. Over the last 4 seasons, Jenkins has made 38 starts, and signing is a gamble that Jenkins will remain healthy moving forward. And history has shown that many players find ways to manage their health better as their careers progress. For Jenkins, this is a fresh start after completing his rookie contract, but for the Raiders, it's a missed opportunity to bolster their offensive line. Despite missing out on Jenkins, the Raiders still have options. With $59 million in cap space, they have plenty of flexibility to address roster needs. However, it's unlikely they'll spend recklessly in free agency. Instead, the Raiders may choose to extend key players already on the roster. For example, left tackle Colton Miller could be a candidate for a long-term deal, ensuring stability on the offensive line for years to come. There's also the possibility of locking in defensive end Malcolm Kuntze if he has a breakout season. If Kuntze, who recently signed a 1-year deal, delivers a strong performance early in the season, say 8 sacks in 6 games, securing him for the long term would make sense. Similarly, younger players like Dylan Parham and Jack Jones may warrant extensions during the season, keeping the team's core intact without overspending in free agency. In terms of immediate needs, the Raiders still have opportunities to upgrade. Guards like Dalton Risner, who has top 10 potential as an interior lineman, remain available. Bringing in a versatile player like Risner could significantly improve the offensive line. Additionally, other free agents such as wide receiver Amari Cooper, if available, could provide depth and experience at key positions. The longer free agency drags on, the more affordable these players become. It's a prime opportunity for the Raiders to add quality talent without overcommitting financially. The goal for this offseason remains clear: improve the roster and get better as a team. Whether through smart signings or locking in their own players, the Raiders are in a position to make calculated moves that ensure sustained success. The Raiders' window to win and key players to watch the Raiders know their Super Bowl window is tied closely to the timeline of quarterback Geno Smith. With 3 or 4 solid years left in his career, maximizing that opportunity is crucial. An extension for Smith appears imminent, possibly within the next week or even just a few days. The expectation is that the Raiders will lock him in for this year and likely 2 additional years. Winning in that window means identifying the core players to keep long-term and making smart, immediate moves to bolster the roster. One potential addition to the Raiders' offense is Amari Cooper. While Cooper's recent stint with the Buffalo Bills was underwhelming, his performance the previous season, where he recorded over 1,200 receiving yards, shows he still has the ability to deliver at a high level. Cooper would come at a reasonable cost now, making him an intriguing option. Another possibility is Keenan Allen, who remains a proven, reliable wide receiver. Contracts for these players would likely fall between $7 and $12 million, making them low-risk, high-reward acquisitions. In addition to wide receivers, the Raiders might also target guards to solidify the offensive line. While many of the marquee free agents have already signed, there are still quality players available on short-term deals. These strategic additions could complement the roster while preserving long-term flexibility. And our future, Tyree Wilson. The spotlight is on Tyree. Wilson is a player the Raiders are heavily relying on for both the present and the future. As the 7th overall pick, Wilson carries high expectations, especially since the Raiders selected him over other top talents like Jalen Carter and Darnell Wright. Carter, considered by some to be on a Hall of Fame trajectory, and Wright, who is already viewed as a top 5 right tackle, make Wilson's development even more critical. This season is a pivotal one for Wilson. It's not just about this year, but the long-term success of the team hinges on his ability to become a dominant force. A friend recently pointed out on social media that Wilson isn't necessarily as bad as critics suggest, but also not yet as good as fans hope. Either way, there are no excuses this year. With defensive coach Rob Leonard, a phenomenal talent developer, leading the way, Wilson has all the tools to succeed. Travon Walker and the trade rumors. Another name to watch is Travon Walker, who was trending recently amid reports that the Jacksonville Jaguars might consider trading him. Walker has begun to show signs of breaking out as a defensive force. Last season, he was a nightmare for opposing offenses, proving difficult to block and making a major impact on the field. While he's a different style of player than Max Crosby, Walker thrives on disruption, whereas Crosby attacks the quarterback with relentless speed. The idea of Walker being available could shake up the league. For the Raiders, staying competitive means focusing on the talent they already have while keeping an eye on potential opportunities like these. With Geno Smith leading the charge, a restructured cap, and players like Tyree Wilson needing to step up, the pieces are there for success. But it's up to the Raiders to make the right moves and ensure this window doesn't close without a championship. Tyree Wilson's progression, a season of opportunity. Tyree Wilson is entering a critical season, a make-or-break year for his young career. Unlike Max Crosby, who dominates plays with sheer explosiveness, Wilson brings a different kind of disruption. He's more methodical, collapsing pockets and using his athleticism and length to influence every play. While Crosby might blow up 8 out of 10 plays with immediate impact, Wilson excels in consistently wearing down opposing linemen over a series of snaps. In reviewing Wilson's tape from the last few games, it's clear he has shown flashes of his potential. Plays against the Saints, for instance, revealed a player starting to come into his own. He moved fluidly during defensive line stunts, adjusted direction smoothly, and applied pressure to the quarterback. The foundation for success is there, but some areas of his game still need refining. Cleaning up the little things. Wilson has struggled with finishing plays, particularly in the run game. There were instances where he disrupted the backfield but failed to wrap up or secure the tackle. Similarly, on pass rush opportunities, he often got close to the quarterback but couldn't deliver the sack. These are the kinds of details, marginal improvements in timing and technique, that could make a huge difference in his effectiveness. A true off-season advantage. This will be Wilson's first healthy off-season since joining the NFL. His rookie year was hampered by a lack of training camp and off-season preparation due to injuries. In his second year, he finally went through the process for the first time. Now, heading into year 3, he has the benefit of knowing what to expect and what it takes to succeed at this level. Experience is invaluable, and Wilson has accumulated enough snaps to start recognizing the nuances of NFL play. He understands blocking schemes better now. He knows when to expect down blocks, or how to read guards overtaking his position. This mental edge, combined with his physical abilities, could lead to significant strides in his performance. The path to starting. It's likely that Wilson will begin the season as the Raiders' full-time starter. While Malcolm Kuntz may currently be more polished, he's also recovering from an injury. This opens the door for Wilson to take on a larger role and solidify his place on the team. Wilson's growth could also be a game-changer for the Raiders' defense. If he can clean up his finishing ability, maintain consistency, and fully capitalize on his athletic gifts, he has the potential to be a disruptive force for years to come. With a healthy offseason this season, but for their long-term defensive success. Tyree Wilson, a season of truth. As the Raiders prepare for the upcoming season, Tyree Wilson's development will be a central storyline. With Malcolm Kuntz still recovering and likely needing additional time to regain full explosiveness, Wilson will have an early opportunity to prove himself. The Raiders may ease Kuntz back into action, giving Wilson the chance to step into a more significant role. The journey of growth Wilson has shown flashes of potential, particularly in the last 3 to 4 weeks of the previous season. However, consistency and productivity have been concerns. At this point, based on his first 2 years, it would be fair to label Wilson a disappointment. But development in the NFL is rarely linear, and history has shown that players can turn the corner in their third year. Take Travon Walker as an example. Walker struggled early in his career but became a legitimate pass-rushing force in his third season, notching meaningful sacks rather than cleanup plays. Another comparable case is Dexter Lawrence, who relied heavily on power as a rookie but developed into one of the NFL's most dominant interior linemen by his third year. Wilson, who also leans on power, may follow a similar trajectory. What to expect this season? Wilson's power-based game takes time to refine. If he can stay healthy, this season will be critical for his progression. His ability to adapt, develop his technique, and consistently impact games will determine whether he can shed the bust label and emerge as a cornerstone of the Raiders' defense. This year also provides Wilson with his first real opportunity to start the season fully healthy and prepared. If he can combine that with what he's learned over the past 2 years, there's hope he'll begin to fulfill the potential that led the Raiders to draft him. Broader challenges for the Raiders. While Wilson's development is important, the Raiders still have unresolved issues, particularly on the offensive line. Christian Wilkins restructuring his contract may open the door for additional moves, but the Raiders must address their weaknesses up front. The coaching staff has taken risks with players like DJ Glaze, particularly in the final weeks of the season, exposing them to challenging one-on-one matchups against top defensive ends. Glaze struggled in these scenarios, and those struggles underscore the need for the Raiders to solidify the offensive line if they hope to compete this year. The road ahead. This season will tell us a lot about Tyree Wilson's future with the Raiders. Whether he steps up or continues to struggle, his performance will be closely scrutinized. With free agency winding down and key roster decisions still to be made, the Raiders have plenty of work to do. Fans will be watching closely as Wilson and the team aim to take a step forward. Let's hope the Raiders get more active in addressing their roster needs and find the pieces necessary to field a competitive team.